I mean, I have to do that. I have a heck of a lot of books. Last time I counted, I had like over 430 books. Hello my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten and we're at the start of another weekly vlog, and I have no idea what I want to read. I am thinking to start my February TBR. We do have a couple days left of January, but I'm pretty sure I want to move on now because I've only got one book left on the January TBR, and that's the Traitor Barracombe run. And you know what, it's a shame because I was really looking forward to it, but I don't know, I feel like it's time to move on to February, especially because I have my 24-hour readathon coming up on Wednesday, so we'll be starting all the books for that in there. So I'm debating, do I go for something small that I can finish today and tomorrow, and then I've got my 24-hour readathon to go into and have fun and then start a new book Thursday, or do I just pick a book? I don't know. So I've got my handy dandy reading journal here. I love this journal. It is so cool. It's a tea. It's from Notebook Therapy. I love their journals from there. Anyway, that was a random tangent. But yeah, so I'm not sure. And I don't know what I'm feeling like either. I could do a contemporary because I have a contemporary on my TBR and I feel like that could be a quicker read. Or we've got Dark Academia, we've got Greek Myth. And I'm not really sure what I'm in the mood for, to be fair. I do have a fantasy book, but I'm planning to take that away on holiday with me. I think this week I would like to not read any ebooks because I tend to read a lot of ebooks when I'm at work or when I'm travelling out and about. So it'd be really nice to have a week of just reading physical books. I think I'm probably going to end up with either a contemporary or the Greek Myth, but I would like to do a Greek Myth reading week this month because we've got 2 Greek Myth books and one of them is an ebook. So maybe we'll do that next week. I don't know. I have no idea what I want to read. You should put in the comments below what you think I'm going to end up falling on, whether it's going to be contemporary, Greek Myth or Dark Academia, because I have no idea. I've literally just come off a week of reading fairy books and it's been so good and I've loved it so much, and I kind of just want to continue on with that, but I also don't know what books, like I want to dive into like folklore and stuff. Like I literally just spoke about that 2 minutes ago, but I don't have any of those sort of books so that's not going to happen, but I would love to. So I think maybe, I don't know, I really did want to try and do a Greek Myth reading week, so maybe I'll leave, like I say, leave that till next week potentially. Maybe do a contemporary reading week. We could do that. I don't know. We've got a couple books on the TBR that I do want to read them all. This is the problem with doing my TBR so early, because I tend to do them about 3 weeks before I'm actually going to read them so that they're all filmed and ready for you lot. The problem is with that is that that's what I feel like reading at that moment, and then 3 weeks later that's changed, but I'm still excited for them. I don't know, this was a whole tangent of going, I don't know what I'm reading. I have no idea. I know I've got the book that you are choosing from, but I want to give that a few more days because that video literally went live last night. So I normally like to give that a good week or so people can get all their votes in. And that's a mystery book, which I'm very excited about. We're just going to see what the mood takes us. For today though, I have stacks and stacks of filming to get done. I want to try and film all of February's videos today because got the free house, so it makes perfect sense to do all that. And then because I actually have a week off, by the way, this is my week off, so I'm also planning to get loads of editing done and just catch up with all things YouTube. So then I'm done for February, which would be great. That would be amazing. And then you can bet your bottom that I would get to the end of February, beginning of March, and then be scrambling for the fact that I've got nothing ready for March. But that's for, you know, future Kirsten to have to deal with, and present Kirsten's just going to sort out February. So I don't know what I'm reading. I hope you're all doing well. Let me know what you're reading and what you've been up to, and yeah, let's see how this week off goes, and fingers crossed we get some good chunk of reading done. I also really want to focus on Animal Crossing. I've now officially finished the game, so I think the next time I log on it's going to be the end of the game, and then I can start terraforming. So I'd love to spend some time doing that as well. So we're gonna see. This week is gonna be so busy, but I'm looking forward to it. Okay, right, I'm gonna stop the ramble because there is literally no reading updates to have because I don't know what I feel like reading. Am I just gonna ignore the TBR and go for something different? I shouldn't. I don't know. I suppose that's a possibility as well. We'll see. But yeah, okay, I've got more than enough videos to be getting on with to be filming, so I'm going to stop rambling at you and ramble at you in a different video. But I hope you enjoy this one, and I'll catch up with you soon. potentially tomorrow. Who knows? Well, I decided on Vladimir by Juliet May Jonas, and I'm enjoying it so far. I actually really like this red with the white text on the spine. I think it looks really nice. I normally prefer something a bit more on my on the hardback, so under the dust jackets, but I think the simplicity, it works. Anyway, I am up to chapter 8, page 90. There's one thing I will say, these chapters are really quite long, which I prefer a shorter chapter. I've always preferred a shorter chapter. I feel like they're easier to read, which I know I've said it before, it's weird. Does it actually make a difference? I don't know. I also really like these end papers being pink. It's just a whole good colour scheme. I love it. But in this one, we are following a professor, and her husband has been accused of sleeping with his students, which yes, he has. Not since the law came in about the fact that that's not allowed anymore, but before that, definitely he did. They are now all coming to the forefront saying that it wasn't fair, that the power dynamics between them was wrong, and that he abused that power. She is really struggling with those allegations, not because he had those relations with other women, because they have a very flexible relationship that way, that neither of them are bound to just one another. The allegations of it all and how she feels about the fact that those women had a choice and that they chose to be powerful and to do that, and now they're not being accountable for themselves and stuff. So that's her perspective on it, and I think it's an interesting one because it's very controversial, especially because a lot of people would argue that because of that power dynamic, it's not a fair relationship. So it's really interesting to see a different view to that and how she's getting annoyed with the girls that don't take ownership of their own power. So yeah, it wasn't what I expected in that argument to be said, but it is throughout this book because she is really struggling with that. At the same time as all of that is going on, she is now becoming a bit obsessed with somebody else, and that's called Vladimir. Now, Vladimir's not actually a student, he is actually a teacher, so I feel like the power dynamics there aren't the same at all, but he is younger than her by a fair bit. She is obsessed with him. She's constantly thinking about him, constantly wanting him around and wanting to be better for him. She goes into a lot of introspective thoughts as well about how she looks, beauty standards, the things that she tries to hold herself to, the way that she views what men want and how they can be so needy. It's really quite interesting. It wasn't what I expected at all. I think the start of this book had a real big impact on me. I think the prologue, I should say, I really found impactful, and now we're kind of growing up to where we were in the prologue. and it's just interesting. So we're seeing her from when she first met Vladimir, learning about him, learning about his wife, his child, and then we're also learning about all of these allegations against her husband, how she feels about it, how their daughter feels about it, the fact that their daughter's now just broken up with her girlfriend, and it's all revolving around this lust. And that's what's so interesting. It is a look into lust and how it can be seen in so many different ways. And I'm really enjoying that. I'm finding it really interesting. I think it's definitely a book that I would like to take my time with and really think about. I did enjoy when I first started reading this book, because I read the first 40 pages, but I read it quite slowly and I read it at different times. So I started off reading 20 pages here, then I read a little bit on the train to meet my partner, and then I read a little bit while I was waiting for him to arrive. And I liked that it was so broken up, and I found it a lot more impactful. But then when I got home, I read 50 pages in one chunk because I wanted to get to around the 100-page mark, and I didn't find it as impactful doing that. So I think I'm actually going to limit myself to 20 or 30 pages at a time, so maybe like 2 chapters at a time, so that I can actually think about everything that has been written. The writing is lovely. I'm really enjoying the writing. It's very almost lyrical in a way, in the way that it's analysing everything, and I don't know, there's something about it that's really scratching an itch for me. I really am enjoying that. But I do definitely note the difference of enjoyment level from when I was breaking up my reading to reading a whole chunk in an actual hour sit down session. And not that I can't do it with this book, but I think I just want more time to actually think about all the points that she's making. Like I said, some of them are quite controversial, and it's really interesting to see how she sees this as an older person and that power dynamic, and how it's been portrayed so much. And in also discussing about social media and young people, because she is a teacher, they have a lot of discussions about the younger people, how they are so self-involved with themselves and how they're brainwashed by social media. But also I can see how they think that, and then also think that it's good that they are so introspective. It's good that they have such awareness of their mental health, and that's what she's focusing on. That it's just interesting. It's really interesting to see this different perspective on things that makes me question stuff, which I'm enjoying. So yeah, so I think I'm actually going to read this slowly. I was going to come on here and say I'm going to aim to finish this up today because it's not a long book. It's only 238 pages, so I don't have long left. So it's definitely something that I could finish out in one sitting. But after that, I don't want to. I actually really don't want to. I preferred it when I was taking it slower. So I'm going to aim to read 2 chapters today. I won't read any tomorrow because that's a 24-hour readathon, so I won't be reading this book. But then that's what I want to do, is just slowly finish up this book. And I don't have to limit myself to 2 chapters, but I just mean if I'm going to sit down and read it, I only want to read a maximum of 2 chapters at a time before I then get up, do other things, and then come back to it. That potentially means I'll be picking up a new book today. However, I am quite busy because I've got some editing that I want to do, and then I'm going out for a meal in the evening. So I don't know how much reading I'm actually going to get done. So that might work out perfectly. Either way, I'll be popping back in here on Thursday. That's it. But I feel like that was a short update, but I'm looking at the time and it's still 7.5 minutes, so it wasn't that short. But it's definitely a book that's making me think, which I'm enjoying, so I don't want to rush read it. And I also do want to annotate it, but at the same time it feels like it could possibly be like acts of desperation, where I started annotating that book and then the rest of the book I did not connect to, and so I didn't really annotate at all, and I don't think I'm going to keep hold of that one. So when I give that away, I mean, I do it to like the free book drop-off things that people can pick up books for free, so I feel like getting an annotated book from there is not that bad. But at the same time, like, I do feel a bit, I don't know. So I feel like the start of that book I would have annotated a lot, but then that last chunk that I read altogether I wouldn't have annotated as much because of how quickly I read it. So I'm going to hold off from annotating it, and if I really enjoy it, then I know it's a book that I can reread and annotate then. I don't know why I felt the need to tell you that, but there we go. I'm going to pop back in on Thursday. I'm very much looking forward to my 24-hour readathon, although it's a bit busier than I normally have it because I actually do have to pop out for a sight test. I haven't decided if I'm going to put that part in the 24-hour readathon because it's happening during that time. That probably makes more sense rather than putting a clip in here of that, because if my prescription doesn't change, I don't plan on changing up any glasses. But if my prescription does change, then, oh, it's going to be a whole big thing. I don't think it's changed. I'm hoping it hasn't, but we're gonna find out. Well, actually, you'll probably find out in the 24-hour readathon. So again, I don't really need to talk about that. I need to stop rambling and I need to actually get on with some editing and, you know, do stuff. So I'm gonna go. I literally have to tell myself to go because otherwise I would just sit here quite happily chit-chatting away to you. I don't know how you put up with it, to be fair, but I'm so glad that you do. So thank you so much. And I know a lot of you do say you actually really like the rambles, which is lovely, but also how? Because I do talk some rubbish. But yeah, okay, I do have some editing and stuff to do, so I really gotta go. I will catch up with you, like I said, on Thursday. I have to do this quick because I've got a train to catch. Also, if there's a lot of background noise, that's just because it's a Thursday and we normally have everyone over on a Thursday, so it gets a bit loud. Should be fine though. Right, okay, book news, that's what we're here for. I have read a little bit more since I last updated about Vladimir. I'm now up to chapter 11, page 129, so not loads more. But I'm enjoying taking this book slowly. I'm finding I connect to it so much more. I find it a lot more impactful, and the writing itself I genuinely really like. I'm finding it really interesting, I don't think I've mentioned it, about the toxicity between our main characters and her husband, like their marriage. As much as they've got this understanding that they can be intimate with whoever they want and it's a mutual understanding, there is other things that makes this relationship quite toxic, and you do see that. So it can be a little bit disturbing in that sense. I would check the trigger warnings before going into this book. While it's not, for me personally, that heavy-handed at all, it is there. So definitely check your trigger warnings. We're also seeing our main character deal with the fact that she's been politely told by her fellow professors that they don't want her teaching anymore because of this whole allegation against her husband, and as much as she hasn't done anything, it's making the students feel uncomfortable and that they don't want her to be teaching, so they've asked her, while this whole investigation goes on, don't teach. And she feels so conflicted about all of this, like she feels so frustrated and annoyed, and you're seeing a lot of that conflict, as well as the mounting tension within her marriage because of everything that's going on. Although I feel like you can definitely see some of that from before and not just because of this situation. If anything, this situation's just brought it more to light rather than it being glossed over, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this book. I think it's really good, really impactful, and like I say, taking my time with it. But I am planning to bring this one with me today. Whether I get much read, I don't know, but my partner and I are planning to go to Brighton, hence why I've got a train to catch. I'm going to bring this along for the train journey. We'll see if I get any of that read. But also this week, I am now also going to be continuing on with The Tropic of Serpents by Marie Brennan. This is a book I started during my 24-hour readathon, but didn't finish. I am up to part 3, which is almost halfway through the book, which also, this is such a cute little bookmark. I love it. But yeah, I'm halfway through, almost, and I'm really enjoying it. It's about Lady Trent, who goes around exploring different regions for their dragons. In this book, they are going to a more war-torn country, so a lot of this first bit was learning about the politics of that and kind of getting stuck in it rather than actually focusing on the dragons too much, but that should now be happening in this part, which I'm very excited for. We also of course have the fact that Lady Trent is leaving behind her son, and there's a lot of conflict about what a woman should do, because this has got the Jane Austen setting of Sense and Sensibility, that's the book, of sensibilities, and of this time period of what is acceptable for a woman to do, of them, you know, basically only job is to get married and have kids, and Lady Trent is pushing out against that bounds, and for her leaving her son behind, they're all very frustrated and annoyed about this because she's meant to be the mother. She's not meant to leave her child behind, and it's interesting seeing it from Lady Trent's perspective, dealing with those sort of sensibilities, because one, she gets frustrated by them because that's not who she is, and two, she's like, yes, I've got a son, but that doesn't mean I'm automatically going to be an amazing mother. Like, motherhood isn't quite for me. I don't know what to do with him, and so she relies on the nanny that she has for him an awful lot. It was just a really interesting look at that. So that's all the first part of this book, and I'm looking forward to actually getting stuck into the actual dragons that are going on now that that part has been sanctioned, as much as it is to do with the politics of the place that they're in because of the war that's going on and the hazardous state it's all in, and they end up getting caught up in all the politics of it. So it's been really interesting to read. I mentioned in my 24-hour readathon that some people may not enjoy it because it's a slow book. I think this series isn't a series that's got like loads of plot heaviness to it. It's more of an exploration into the science of how a dragon can be made. Well, not made, but how it is, and that's what Lady Trent sets about doing, is going off to explore the science behind them, trying to understand as much as she can about them, and then writing papers on it. And so this seems very academia. I would say light academia is a good subgenre for this book to go into, and yeah, I like it. I really do enjoy it. Also, very quickly, I did get a couple of books because the previous evening I met up with my dad for a meal, and we always go book shopping. As much as it was late, it is also London, so Voiles was still open, so let me quickly go get those. I love how I literally tried saying, I think it was in last week's vlog, that I'm gonna like slow down on the book buy-in, and I will, but this was the last day of January, so technically it doesn't count. But we have The Copper Promise by Jen Williams. I read The Ninth Reign by her and really enjoyed it. I did want to get the second book to that series, but they didn't have it. They only had the third book, but they did have this one, which is the first book in her first series. I don't know too much about it. I just know that there are dragons because, you know, dragon on the cover, and there is magic and mages, monsters and gods, that there's stories about all of them. We're following Widrin and her companion Sir Sebastian, and there's no money to be made in chasing rumours. It says, the tagline, it says, "These reckless adventurers will soon learn that sometimes there is truth in rumour and sometimes a story can save your life." I haven't really heard anyone talking about this series, but I know I like her writing, so I'm willing to give it a try. Then I also picked up The Charming Man by C.K. MacDonald. This is the second book in the Stranger Times series, and I really enjoyed that first book. It was the last book I read of 2022 and absolutely adored it. It was just so much fun, and this is the second book in that series. It's a bit more chunky, but I'm really excited, and I do think this one is about vampires, obviously because of the coffin and everything on the cover. So I'm very excited to see how that's going to go. I'm just expecting a fun time, so when I'm in need of a book that is just going to make me laugh, this is the book that is going to be a go-to. I really enjoyed the first one. And then I also picked up an anticipated release, which again I missed off my anticipated releases video, and that is The Things We Do to Our Friends by Heather Darwint, and this is a dark academia book, and obviously that's the only reason why I got it. But I really love this cover. I think it's absolutely stunning. And this one, the tagline says, "How much is an extraordinary life worth if others have to pay?" So we're following Claire. It takes place at University of Edinburgh, and then she gets caught up in all sorts of other things. So I don't know. I'm excited. Dark academia. We all know I love it, so I'm going to give this one a try. But there we go. Those are the books that I got. That's what I have been reading and up to. I didn't read any more of Vladimir yesterday because it was my 24-hour readathon, and that video should already be up. So you can go check that one out if you're interested. But yeah, okay, I'm gonna go and catch this train. Good evening. I hadn't planned on updating this evening actually, but I have finished Vladimir. I finished this earlier today, and I was just going to edit tomorrow morning? No, update you tomorrow morning with the fact that I'd finished it and how I felt about it. Overall, I don't think I would reread this book. I did find it interesting. All the comments that I said about this being an exploration of lust, it very much is. It also escalates very quickly towards the end of the book, and it is a bit unusual, a bit different in just how it all kind of came about. Like, I don't want to say anything without giving it away, but it was very, very interesting and I liked all of that. I think this book would be amazing as a book club pick, and the amount of discussions that you could get from this would be unreal, because it is a very controversial topic that it covers, and it covers a couple of different controversial topics. So I think if you had a group of you that was discussing this book and really pulling it apart, yes. When I was saying that I didn't really enjoy it when I read this in one big chunk, I think that is because I preferred taking my time with it and thinking over all those different controversial subjects that were coming up. Like I said, that would be good to discuss. But sitting down in one go, I found it a bit more difficult to read, and I think that's why I wouldn't reread it, because it is what I feel like most contemporary books for me are. They're interesting. I think the topics that they discuss, the themes that they explore are really fascinating, and I like the fact that it gets us to question so many different things, so I like reading them for that. But at the same time, they aren't books that will stick with me or that I would reread. So because of that, I then end up unhauling a lot of the contemporary books, because I would happily annotate in them and write in them and question things, but I wouldn't reread it. So it kind of leaves me in a weird position of whether to recommend these books. And I think recommending them for a book club, that's where I think if you've got someone that you can really discuss them with, I think that is going to make the reading experience so much better. I don't think there's anything wrong with reading it just on your own and exploring it for that concept. I think there are a lot of people that read contemporary books a lot and they like exploring these different themes and just find that really interesting, just expanding and questioning their understanding of things. I'm just not one of those people that want to do it all the time on my own. I would rather discuss it. I have you all to share my thoughts with and everything, which is why I do read these, but I think it would be so much more interesting if you had a group of you really discussing it and just seeing where people stood on these points, and it really calls you into question about what you believe like is morally correct or not in certain situations. So I think it would be really interesting. I'm glad I read it very much, and it definitely went a different turn to what I was thinking this book was going to be about, but I loved it. I really, really did enjoy it. I just also wouldn't reread it. So I would probably end up unhauling this book, because I only tend to keep books that I know I'm going to reread, and I may not reread them for like a good 5, 6, 7 years sometimes, but the point is I would go back to it. Whereas a contemporary book like this, I can say I enjoy reading at the time. I would enjoy discussing it. I wouldn't reread it. And so they don't stay on my shelves. So yeah, I mean, I have to do that. I have a heck of a lot of books. Last time I counted, I had like over 430 books. So I have a lot. I can't keep hold of books that I know I'm not going to reread at some point. So I have to be quite strict on what gets to stay on the shelves, but that doesn't stop me from exploring different genres and exploring different books and wanting to pick up books that will make me think and question things. So that's what this book did, and I'm very happy with that. This evening, I don't really know what I want to do. It's only 7:30, and I do want to read more of Tropic of Serpents, so I'll probably update you in the morning with how far I get with that. I would love to finish that this weekend. I feel like this reading vlog's been very chill. I haven't done loads, but I've been so busy because I've been busy with the filming. Then, as you already seen, we went to Costco. I then had to do all the vegetable prep. I then busy editing. Like, I've just been doing constant stuff. Then I went to Brighton yesterday, which, I forgot. I was going to talk about that in the morning, but I might as well talk about it now. I went to Brighton for the first time yesterday with my partner. I was told by someone at work that it was a really good place to go, and he's definitely someone that I would trust with these sort of things, and I really did enjoy it. It was a lovely day out. It wasn't that far to get to on the train either. I thought it was going to be so much longer, but the train journey was fine, and we were playing like Magic the Gathering anyway, so it went really quickly. And when we got down there, we went down the lanes. There's loads of jewelry stores, and I mean loads of jewelry stores. I actually did get a couple of rings. Let me go get them for you. Which I was very happy with. And then there's also just lots of like individual slightly quirky shops. That snail, the pink snail, that was actually outside a building, like on by a shop. It was above the shop, and I thought that was really interesting. Like, they had a lot of unique, quirky little shops. It was a much bigger place than what I thought. We didn't actually go down to the beach. It was a bit too chilly for that, and we didn't stay as long as we would have because all the trains going back home were getting cancelled and delayed, and we didn't want to be stuck in Brighton. So we ended up only spending, I think, about 2 or 3 hours in Brighton, but definitely somewhere that I would go again and have a good little rummage around. But those rings, let me get those. Okay, so I got this beautiful little one, which the camera keeps going in and out of focus, but I really loved that. I loved the black stone. All my rings have stones, I really like them like that, but that was one. It's actually a very pale blue gem, and I really like the leaf designs on it. It's really, really stunning. So I love that. I was actually going to wear them today, but then decided to go with my classic vintagey ring, which is not picking up. Nope, not picking up at all. And my usual ring that I got from Scotland. But I love those two new rings. So yeah, that was yesterday. Really, really enjoyed it. That's what I was saying. The problem with all of that is it means that I really haven't done much reading today. Today or in general, actually. This weekly reading vlog's been very chill. I only finished one book. Potentially we'll finish Tropical Serpents. I'm really hoping to finish that this weekend, as I mentioned already. But yeah, it's just been a chill one. Even though I've had the time off, like I haven't even played Animal Crossing like I wanted to, apart from to actually end the game. I've just been busy. Even today, I had a day where I didn't plan on seeing anyone, but I ended up trying to edit the 24-hour readathon, which took me almost 4 hours to do. It was so long. And then I had to go and get my mum's birthday present, so I popped out to do all of that, and then I got back and I had a headache, and I've just had so much stuff to do. And I think because I'm going away on holiday next week, at the end of next week, I'm trying to get all the videos prepared and edited so that I don't have to do anything while I'm away on holiday, and there's just so much to do. So much. I had a little bit of a stress out of it earlier, being like, oh my god, I need to try and get all this stuff done. But at the end of the day, where we're going on holiday is just a pure relaxation beach holiday. We're not actually doing loads, so it won't be a massive issue if I have to bring my laptop and do a couple of video bits. I'd just rather not. But yeah. Anyway, this was meant to be a really quick update, and instead it's almost 10 minutes long. But that was me just popping in to say I finished Vladimir, and I don't know what I want to do tonight. I am thinking to read, and I will definitely read some of Tropical Serpents, but I am also thinking of going through my wardrobe and just having a declutter, because I've been keeping a lot of tops that I used to wear for work when I worked in the opticians, which is over a year ago. And I do like them, but every time I wear them they feel like workwear, so I kind of want to refresh my wardrobe into just long sleeve tops. I've got so many clothes for summer. I have so many clothes because last year I really focused on that, and I do have quite a lot of jumpers, so I'm fine with that. It's literally just some long sleeve tops. They're all workwear, so I don't really have anything different. So I'm potentially going to go through that. I mean, if I do, I'll throw in a few clips of that, but I really don't know what this update was. But I finished a book. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna go. So I did go through all my clothes yesterday evening, and I really like doing that, going through a good little declutter every few months or so, especially when it's clothes that I've been umming and ahhing about keeping but then don't actually wear for quite a long period of time, so there's no point keeping hold of those. So it's really good to go through all of that. I've got a little bag to go to the charity shop, and it's great because it leaves me room for new clothes when I eventually get those, but it was just nice. I think decluttering is always good. But after that I did settle down and read a bit more of Tropic of Serpents, and I am now up to chapter 19, page 255, so I've only got 80 pages left to go, and I do plan on finishing this today. I can't remember if I said it in this video or if I only said it in the 24-hour readathon. This book is a lot slower than what I was expecting. I don't think I'm loving it quite as much as A Natural History of Dragons, just because it is that little bit slower. There's a lot more focus on the politics, which I do think I mentioned about it being a war-torn country, so we're getting a lot of focus on that, and the fact that Lady Trent and her friends are getting caught up in all of that. And then this last section, we've now moved on to a swamp area of the place that they're staying, the country that they're visiting, and there's been less focus on the dragons and the different creatures that live there, and more focus on the culture of the people that live in the swamps. And while I don't think that's a bad thing, I do think it's very interesting. It isn't quite what I was expecting, because I was hoping for more focus on the dragons like it is in book 1. That being said, I am still enjoying this because I still really enjoy the writing, and even yesterday when I was sat there reading, I could have carried on finishing this book if it just weren't for the fact that I was getting tired. So it's definitely something that once I get reading it, that's it, I'm hooked, I want to carry on, but it is slower. That doesn't bother me though. It really doesn't bother me, because I'm not going into this for a really fast action-paced book. I'm going into it for the character and the writing, the setting, and the exploration into the dragons. So the only bit that's a little bit lacking at the minute is the dragons part, but I do expect we will get a bit more of that. It is coming to the end, so everything's going to be wrapping up soon. It's not quite hitting the 5-star mark for me, but I am still really enjoying it, and I am really excited to continue on, especially because if you watched my 24-hour readathon, you'd know that I started off the 3rd book thinking it was the 2nd book. It was a whole fiasco, and I really enjoyed that start of that 3rd book, so I'm very excited to get into that 3rd book. Still can't believe I managed to do that, but the 2nd book's just been a lot more political focused than what I expected. But it's not necessarily a bad thing, because I also enjoy politics, I just had different expectations. But I'm still enjoying it, which is all that update was to say really, is that. So yeah, so I plan on finishing this up today, and I've got a couple videos to edit. I've actually already done one, so that's really good. We're off to a good start this morning. I've got one more to do that I'd like to do, and then I am popping over to my partner's house this evening. Not sure exactly what time, because he's working, so he's going to let me know what time to get there for, but yeah, it's going to be good. More of another chill day, just trying to catch up on all the YouTube stuff, but nowhere near as stressed as I was yesterday, because I've worked out a plan of action to do everything. That's always helpful. But okay, I'm gonna go and quit rambling at you. I will wrap up the vlog probably tomorrow with my final thoughts on the Tropic of Serpents, and yeah, see you then. Good morning. No, what am I saying? Good afternoon. Almost evening. It is 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I finished Tropic of Serpents, and I loved this book. I really, really enjoyed it. Yes, there wasn't as much focus on dragons, but Lady Trent does say frequently throughout this book that this is the 2nd book that she's written about what happened here, and she was writing it to clarify events that she definitely fabricated a lot more in her 1st book that she wrote. She fictionalized it more. So this one wasn't so much a focus on the dragons, and she frequently says, you know, if you want to know about this, then refer to this book inside this world. I get it. Like, as much as yes, it was very political heavy based, there was a lot of culture, all the things that I've been saying, it made sense because she was like, this is me clarifying what actually happened then, and I really liked it. Also, the culture of the Mullish people, so the people in the swamp, was really interesting, and it revolved around the dragons so much, and I found that really, really fascinating to read about. Do I wish there had been a bit more focus on the dragons? Yes. Has it stopped the fact that I still enjoyed this book? No. I mean, I stand by what I said yesterday, or the last update. Was it yesterday? Potentially. I don't know. I do prefer Natural History of Dragons. I did prefer that because there was more interest about the dragons, but I still very much enjoyed this. So instead of it being a 5-star, it's like a 4.5, and that's fine. Like, it doesn't bother me at all. I still really, really enjoyed this book. I still cannot wait to carry on. And I think the next book you're going to have a bit more focus on the actual dragons. Like I say, this one was clarifying a piece of history that was really important because she did have a big impact on the political landscape during this time while they were there. So that was interesting from that part. But yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was great. There's been loads of really good illustrations throughout this, which, let me just show you a couple that I really enjoyed. This one was particularly lovely. It's a waterfall that's happening that's actually really important in this book, and also fascinating to read about on those parts. This was very interesting. Yeah. So I enjoy it for all of the book, like the whole of it, the illustrations, everything. Also, just a side note for anyone interested, there is asexual representation in here. It's only lightly noted upon, but it is in there if you're interested. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a good time. So that brings this weekly vlog to an end. I only finished 2 books this week, no ebooks at all, but I said at the start of the week that I didn't want that, so I'm very happy that I stuck to that I didn't read any ebooks. Have I read less than I thought I was going to? Yes, because Vladimir is quite a short book, and I only read half of Tropic of Serpents in this vlog, but at the same time, I did read a lot of books in the 24-hour readathon, which also happened this week, which is why I've read a bit less, and also wanting to read Vladimir slowly. So I'm not mad about it either. Like, it's been a good week off. I've really enjoyed it. I managed to have my reading day for the readathon. That was great. And I've been really productive in being able to get loads of editing and filming done, which is exactly what I wanted to do. So yeah, overall, I'm going to call this week a success. So that has been perfect. Well, let me know if you've read either of these books, if you're interested in them now. And yeah, I think that's going to do for this weekly vlog. So if you have made it this far, then let's leave a dragon in the comments below, or a snake. Actually, no, put a snake, because technically it says Tropic of Serpents. So leave a snake in the comments below. So thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please do give it that thumbs up, subscribe and comment to let me know that you're here. Those 3 things are really important to helping this channel grow. My social media links will be linked below, and I will of course catch you in the next video.